Come on. Do I sound like I'm joking? Do I sound like I'm playing? When you look into my eyes, you understand what I'm saying? Let me say it to you slowly, and it may sound scandalous. I don't think that you can handle this.
Once again, we are on. I am TheMoJoKing. He is the great Mike Steph, and we are Hidden Gems Football, brought to you by the mighty 19 Media Group. This week, we are previewing the conference championships. The winners will be going to the Super Bowl. How are you today, Mike Steph?
I am doing okay. It's funny that we're almost at the end of the line, at the end of the season. Getting kind of misty-eyed, to be quite honest. But I think I can persevere to give these last 3 shows of the season its just due. So, no, a little melancholy, but I'm doing all right. I know you're probably like, Don, why is he was so boisterous just a minute ago. Now he's so calm and gentle.
I was trying to figure out the three episodes because I was like, is he including the Pro Bowl?
Oh, you mean to tell me we're not doing oh yeah, that's right. We don't do recaps. We do previews.
But last year we did do 2, so you might be right. It might be 3.
Yeah. I know what I'm talking about. She threw me off. I'm silly this week. I'm sorry.
All right, Mike Steph. What is your one big thing for this week?
My one big thing this week, there's been a lot of discussion over especially the last couple of days, over Josh Allen and how much blame or how much credit he should get in his team's successes and failures, as opposed to such quarterbacks as Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Brock Purdy, Jared Goff. Jared Goff, if anybody remembers, he was a Super Bowl appearing quarterback in his previous spot in LA. He got thrown over to the Lions, literally, as a throw-in, because that trade was really centered around Matthew Stafford. Now, we have these 4 quarterbacks remaining in the AFC playoffs. You have Lamar finally getting to his first AFC championship game. Can he will this team, this juggernaut team, but a juggernaut based on his amazing performance this year? Can he get them to a Super Bowl? Can he have his first Super Bowl appearance where he still be in line for his first Super Bowl ring? Where Patrick Mahomes in his 6th AFC championship appearance, will he be able to bring this ragtag bunch of receivers that he's pretty much dragged by the neck, by the scruff of their neck, to the precipice of yet another Super Bowl appearance? Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, can he dispel all the naysayers and actually prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that he is the premier quarterback that it says that he is on paper? And then we have Jared Goff. So all this scuttlebutt about whether or Josh Allen is better than Patrick Mahomes, or Josh Allen doesn't have help, guess what? Josh Allen is not in this upcoming weekend's championship game. Everybody has a hand that they are dealt. And at the end of the day, going back to that old adage of Bill Parcells, you are what your record says you are. And I'm going to amend that and saying you are what your rings say you are. Patrick Mahomes is the champion. Lamar Jackson on his way to his 2nd MVP. Josh Allen, did Josh Allen have any MVPs? No. Is there a different standard? Possibly. Josh Allen is not getting the accolades that others in the media believes that he should get. Guess what? You know how he could dispel all that? By getting him one of these. Well, not this one because this is mine, but getting him a ring to put on his finger. So yeah, that's my one big thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, all the discussion about Josh Allen this week has been kind of annoying to me because it's not like we have the 2 weeks in between games. We have these games coming up, and the 4 quarterbacks and the 4 teams involved should be the topic of discussion all week long. So I don't care about the teams that fell off last week.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement Podcast. I am Brad Winchester.
And I am Tyler McDowell Blanken. Join us every week on GI, where we talk about what happened in pop culture, our lives, and most importantly, professional wrestling.
Let's move on to the AFC Championship game. We have the Kansas City Chiefs heading to Baltimore to face the Ravens. The Chiefs were 11-6 during the regular season, while the Ravens were 13-4. Vegas has it, the Ravens 4-point favorite, and the total being 44.5 points. That means if Vegas is right, the Chiefs will score 20.25 points, while the Ravens score 24.25. As far as injuries, the Chiefs have a couple of issues at wide receiver. Kadarius Toney has been out since mid-December with a hip injury. He was practicing in a limited basis last week, so there's a chance that he'll come back this week.
They better not bring him back. They're on a 2-game winning streak.
Remind me to
Leave
go back
him where
to that.
he at.
Wait, remind me to go back to that when we talk about predictions. Kadarius Toney, remind me.
Okay.
All right. Sky Moore has a knee injury. He also was started limited practice last week. He's less likely to come back this week, but there's a chance. Guard Joe Thuney had a MRI on his pec muscle. It was considered a strain. They thought it might be a tear. So it is possible that he plays. He's pretty important on the offensive line. On the defensive side, Derek Nottie, Willie Gay Jr., safety Mike Edwards are all questionable. Nottie in particular is unlikely to play. As for the Ravens, they come in surprisingly healthy, and even the things that they're not healthy about might turn out good. Tight end Mark Andrews has been out since week 11 due to his ankle injury. He had surgery. He practiced last week. There is a chance that he will play this week. And Marlon Humphrey on defense had a calf injury from week 17. He is questionable to play this week. Mike, Steph, who is going to the Super Bowl from the AFC?
I'll start with the Chiefs. The Chiefs, for the first time in this run, the dominant side of their football team is led by their defense, not by their offense. Also, even going into the offense, as dynamic as Patrick Mahomes has been throughout this run, I want to say this particular run is based on a balanced offense for Isaiah Pacheco. Without Isaiah Pacheco giving the balance and allowing these inconsistent receivers a little bit more space, because you have to pay attention to Pacheco, I believe that's actually loosened up the offense just a little bit. Talking about your injury report with Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney, it's funny because I actually thought Andy Reid did something similar to basketball NBA postseason, where you cut down the rotation. I had no idea that they was actually injured. I thought he was like, you know what, Kadarius Toney, thanks for your patronage, for lack of a better term. You're going to sit this one out. Same thing with Sky Moore, because if you think about it, in their absence, they've actually streamlined the offense. You have Rasheem Rice, you have MVS, and you have Kelsey. Those are the passing targets. And then you're running the rock with Pacheco. Not even Edwards-Helaire, because to me, Edwards-Helaire, tell you the truth, was a borderline bust. But pretty much you just streamlined it. Now with bringing them back into the fold, that's why I didn't want to say it while you was doing the injury report, because I'm like, darn, I don't really want to act like I'm cheering on injury, but I think the team is actually performing better with this streamlined offense. Now, when it comes to Baltimore goes as Lamar Jackson goes. And that's not a negative. Lamar Jackson has learned that fine balance of when to use his legs, when to use his arms, when to stay in the pocket, when to extend the play. he is playing with such a pace, such a confidence that it's almost like that old saying of the game slows down. I think it's slowing down to Lamar Jackson in Matrix mode. Like he's seeing people really looking like they're they're running after the agents and stuff. When it comes to this point, all the stats, all the numbers, they really mean nothing. Yeah, you can use them to kind of guide your way, but I'm going off gut right now. There's one stat I do need to bring out though, and that's gambling wise. The Ravens, the Baltimore Ravens, that is, are 12-6 against the spread this season, and they have only lost one game against the spread with all their players, all their starting players, since the Week 6 loss against the Browns. So I think that kind of shows you which way I'm leaning. Baltimore -4. I think that's where I want to go. I think Baltimore is going to the Super Bowl. I think Lamar Jackson is going to have that 2-week run up, and it's going to be all about Lamar Jackson. He's going to be the MVP entering the Super Bowl game. And I think it's not so much of a dawning of a new era, but I think it's Lamar's time to shine. So my pick would be the Ravens -4, which is funny because when I first did my notes, it was Ravens -3. So I guess the smart money is starting to go on the Ravens, which I think is smart to begin with. But yeah, Ravens -4. And as for that over-under, part of me wants to go under because I think there's supposed to be a 60 or 70% chance of precipitation, but it's not supposed to be so cold. It's supposed to be mid to low 40s. So it's not going to be like a freezing rain. But two things. One, I believe Kansas City is going to find a way to get 20 points. I don't think they're going to be held below 20 points. Just somehow, some way, because even though Buffalo was, a shell of itself on defense, Kansas City was moving that ball, and actually putting it into the end zone instead of settling for field goals. I think against this Baltimore defense, they're probably going to have to settle for more field goals than they would prefer, but I think they're going to get to that 20-point barrier. But at the same time, the Chiefs haven't faced Lamar this year, and Lamar is a different animal than Josh Allen because he has weapons at his disposal that Josh Allen didn't have. And I think Lamar has just a little bit more up here than Josh Allen when it comes to taking that risk and, choosing to live for another down. So, yeah, I think Baltimore for the win.
There you go, talking about Josh Allen.
Yeah, I know. Go figure, right? I just listen.
Hey, you're all right with me as long as you didn't mention the lady in the stands. All right. It's interesting because I've been debating this up until Showtime, and you actually said something that convinced me of at least one side of this bet that I'm leaning on. And that is, I think I'm going to go under. We're talking about the number one defense as far as points given up in Baltimore and the number two defense in points given up as far as Kansas City. The Chiefs played almost a perfect game offensively last week. Mahomes was magic. Mahomes can certainly do that again, but he was also playing against Buffalo's defense and Buffalo's banged up defense. Won't have those same benefits this week against the Ravens. So I think I'm going to go with the under. Now it comes down to Ravens -4. The Ravens have been so good this season. And when I really look back at it, like I was really amazed because even though they're 13-4, it didn't really occur to me how solid they've been. And they've been even better as of late. Excluding week 18, back to the Jacksonville game. So they played Jacksonville, who was supposed to be a playoff team, San Francisco, who was a playoff team, Miami, playoff team, and then last week, playoff game. They've outscored their opponents 36.5 to 13 3/4. That's a 23-point edge. I think Mahomes can square that up and possibly win. Because he's Mahomes, I think so. It's always possible. But the Ravens have been so good that although every week I'm waiting for them to get tested and that offense to get tested and have to come back from behind, maybe they're just too good for it. So I think I have to lean on the Ravens, but I will say one caveat. Almost the same thing I said last week when I was talking about Buffalo. Kansas City has that we are the champions and we will not die type mentality. I mentioned it before. They remind me of those old Yankee teams when they weren't quite scoring the same, but somehow they still kept winning. And that makes me a little bit nervous. The last thing that makes me nervous about this is the teams that the Ravens lost to. They lost to the Colts, the Steelers, and the Browns. Now, but when I look at those three teams, I see teams that are slow down the pace, defensive-minded teams. They're focused on defense. And although you don't think about that with the Chiefs, this season, it's kind of been defensive focused. So I think that there is a chance that, especially if the Chiefs keep this game low scoring, they can pull it out. With that said, I'm still taking Baltimore in the 4 points. So I got Baltimore 4 points, and I'm taking the under.
Yeah. I said this over the weekend, and you just reminded me the gauntlet of teams that Baltimore has bludgeoned. You know, like you said, especially toward the end of the season with the Miami game and the San Francisco game. Even early in the season, they put a roadblock in front of Detroit when Detroit was flying high, and Detroit had to come into Baltimore, and they got stomped. I think it was like 37-3 or something to that effect. I mean, to tell you the truth, I think they did the same thing with Seattle. Seattle was 5-2. Went to Baltimore, wasn't the same for the rest of the season. They got stomped. So the argument that we used to have during the season with Dallas not beating anybody and Miami not beating anybody, you don't have that with Baltimore. I think if this was college football, they would have the number one strength of schedule because they were blowing people out. So yeah, it'll be the staunch pride of the Ravens against, you know, championship DNA of the Chiefs. Plus Lamar Jackson, who doesn't want to root for Lamar Jackson? Like, he is the American dream.
I am the Mojo King. He is the great Willie Freeman. And together we are Hip Hop Hidden Gems.
Hip Hop Hidden Gems is a podcast where we celebrate the golden age of hip hop and take a deep dive into artists you probably know and love, but focus on songs you might not be as familiar with. We analyze the gems from two unique perspectives. Sometimes we'll focus on a single verse, other times an entire song. Past episodes include Gangstar, Chino XL, Digital Underground, Scarface, and Big Daddy Kane.
So if you're a hip hop head or just love listening to two brilliant minds, check out Hip Hop Hidden Gems. We're on Apple, Spotify, Google, and any platform you choose.
Perfect.
Perfect.
All right, let's move on to the NFC Championship game. The 12-5 Detroit Lions, champions of the North, will face the 12-5 San Francisco 49ers, champions of the West. Vegas has this score projected out to 50.5 points and the 49ers as 7-point favorites. That means if you map that out, that's 21 3/4 for the Lions, 28 3/4 for the 49ers. As far as injuries, what happened?
No. No. Which call? You're good. I'm just like, I don't think Detroit is only going to score 21 points, but go ahead.
Right. As far as injuries, Detroit, they have a couple. Jonah Jackson, the guard, had a knee injury. He's already ruled out for Sunday, so there'll be one offensive lineman short. Frank Ragnow, their all-pro center, had a knee and ankle injury last week, but he played through it, so he's likely to play this week, I would think. And then linebacker Alex Anzalone has a sprained shoulder and fractured ribs. But guess what? He's been playing the last 2 weeks with them.
Whoa.
So I guess he's fine.
Whoa.
Football players are tough.
Yes.
On San Francisco side, there is one injury that I think everybody already knows about. Exactly. Deebo Samuel, wide receiver, running back extraordinaire, has a shoulder injury. They had an MRI. They're saying it's just a strain. But they also, Shanahan also pointed out that it is still very painful for him even as of yesterday. And doctors have noted that there's always a re-injury risk with this type of injury. So he is questionable for this week, and I think he will be a game-time decision. Mike Steph, who is going to the Super Bowl in the NFC?
All right, I'll start with the 49ers. 49ers come off of a game that, in all honesty, they should have lost against the Green Bay Packers. The Packers had them dead to rights. If it wasn't for a missed field goal, it wasn't for going forward on fourth down when they should have just kicked the field goal, coincidentally, is the point that they sorely missed at the end. They lost by 3. If it wasn't for an ill-fated pass, an ill-timed pass by Jordan Love, and I'm not even laying any type of blame at Jordan Love's feet. Yeah, he threw the interception that sealed the game. But by that time, it was a fait accompli that Green Bay was probably going to lose the game. But this quote-unquote dominant defense, this dominant offensive line by the 49ers, they was getting ate up. You know, they gave up over 100 yards on the ground by Aaron Jones. You know, Jordan Love had his way. He had time in the pocket. He was picking apart that secondary. The defense right now is going based on reputation more than actual on the field skill. You know, Fred Warner was still a beast. But at the end of the day, the defense was supposed to be the stalwart of this team. Offensive wise, as you said, Deebo Samuel injured, probably not going to play, or it'd be a game time decision. That puts the onus on Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy, I believe the stat is he's like 11-3 with Deebo in the lineup. Yeah, I know he has a winning record overall, but when this year's in particular, when they had their little 3-game slide in the middle of the season after that 5-0 start, there was one common thread for this team. They was missing either McCaffrey, Deebo, or Ayuk, or Kittle. When he has one of those cogs missing, he struggles. I don't put no blame at his feet either. You want to know why? Because Kyle Shanahan should know better. Kyle Shanahan, his whole philosophy is putting the quarterback in positions to succeed and leaning on the running game. And that brings me back to the point that I was hitting at prior to this game. I mean, prior to us recapping this game. There was a little known stat last week that my trusty partner, TheMoJoKing, laid out expertly, I must say, you know, and I took the bait, but this is not about me. There was a stat that they're under 500. They have a losing record when Brock Purdy throws more than 30 times a game. Do you want to know why? Because this offense has never been a quarterback run offense, a quarterback dominated offense. In the days of Jimmy G never hardly threw 30 times a game. And they got to a Super Bowl. They got to multiple championship games playing that way. Only due to the Packers' ill-timed mistakes did the Packers not eliminate and not put another L in that column. I think I messaged you that night. I'm like, he has too much confidence in Brock Purdy to the point of arrogance. Like, oh, I got my man. I got the person that could. And don't tell me it was based on the fact that they was behind. They was down by 7. So it wasn't like they were down 2 scores and they had to air it out. Fine. That's the San Francisco side. The Detroit side. You got Jared Goff going back to Cali. I don't think so. He's going back to Cali. Those were old heads, LL. But he's going back to Cali with this team that is not going to take anything lightly. They're at the doorstep of the Super Bowl. This is one of the teams in the league that has never played in a Super Bowl. They have, dare I say, are they America's team right now? I wouldn't go that far. But they're out of all 4, they're the underdog out of all 4 of these remaining teams. Everybody wants to throw in a little bit of Detroit lingo. What up, though? You got Eminem leading. There was a clip of the Ford Field singing in unison, "Lose Yourself." I'm not gonna lie. Normally, I think such things are corny. Just talking about right now, I just got a little chill down my arm because I'm like, wow, this has been a downtrodden fan base that are finally on the precipice of greatness. X's and O's, they should be able to move the ball against the 49ers, especially on the ground. You got Jahmyr Gibbs and you got David Montgomery on the ground. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown through the air. And you got Jared Goff playing with ice in his veins. More ice in his vein than B. Rabbit. So, I say all that to say, look, I'm not even going to go with the, oh yeah, the 28.5 and no, Lions. Lions are going to cover that spread. If they lose, I don't think they're going to lose. Matter of fact, I'm picking them to win. But if the Lions lose, they're not losing by more than a touchdown. So it's going to be Lions +7. That over-under, I'll go over because I think this has a potential to be a back-and-forth game. Because Detroit's defense can be suspect at times, but the 49ers defense has proven to be suspect also, at least last week against the Packers. And truth be told, the Lions are a better team than the Packers. So if the Packers could put up 21 points, you think the Lions can't put up 28? So yeah, Lions for the win, Lions against the spread, over, under, I'll go over.
Wow, bold statements there. All right. Looking at this on paper, it's decidedly the 49ers. They had the 2nd-ranked offense as far as scoring and the 3rd-ranked defense as far as points given up. So 1 and 2 are in the AFC. Number 3 is right here in the NFC. By comparison, the Lions' offense was pretty good. It was ranked 5th, but their defense was 23rd. So out of these 4 teams, there is one deficient unit, and that is the Lions' defense. As strong as the 49ers looked for most of the season, I think on paper, San Francisco is clearly the superior team. But here's where the problems start. The Detroit Lions seem like they don't make many mistakes and they play with heart all the time, and they are going to fight through this no matter what. They've proven it all season. Every time it looked like maybe they were making a turn for the worse, they've turned it around. Meanwhile, recently, the 49ers have looked much more human than they did most of the season. Now, granted, Week 18 doesn't matter. They lost, but it didn't matter. They didn't even have their starters in. But, you saw the little man walk by, right? He's like, I'm out of here for the San Francisco slander.
Yeah.
All right. They did not look dominant last week. Week 17, they beat Washington, who had, as you had pointed out, had given up weeks ago. And week 16, they got demolished by Baltimore. Now, the thing was, when they got demolished by Baltimore, I have to say, I didn't like their game plan, and I thought possibly Shanahan had did that on purpose, thinking that he was going to face this team in the Super Bowl, and he was throwing them a wild card by doing some weird stuff, relying too much on Purdy. Then in round 1 of the playoffs, against Green Bay, he relies too much on Purdy again. So is it possible that this genius is a brilliant idiot?
I agree.
I'm starting to feel like he is, possibly. I don't like it. If it turns out like you said, I think you said over, right?
Yeah.
If it turns into a shootout, I think you're playing into the Lions' hands. Granted, I don't think Goff compares to those AFC quarterbacks, but against Brock Purdy, toss up. And I think I actually trust the Lions machine coaching team, St. Brown, to make the plays when it comes down to if it is a shootout. San Francisco needs to give the ball to McCaffrey and give the ball to McCaffrey and give the ball to McCaffrey and give the ball to McCaffrey. And if Debo is playing, give the ball to Debo and give it back to McCaffrey. And then give it to Eli Mitchell if you need to.
You can't leave Kittle out the bunch. Dump it off to Kittle.
You know what? You get near the goal line, dump off a little touchdown to Kittle. Kittle has 2 receptions for 10 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Oh, wow.
There we
Kittle
go.
slander. Didn't see that.
No, they definitely have the weapons. And Purdy has made the most of the weapons most of the season. But down the stretch, I don't exactly like what I'm looking at there. And I think if they go back to starting with the run and that opens up the passing, they can make it happen. But again, it doesn't seem like that's how this team is functioning right now. It looks like they're going to try to open up the passing and then go to the run. And McCaffrey's going to get his regardless. But I think it opens up for mistakes to be made by Purdy, and it opens up for a possible shootout. And I think that's exactly the lane the Lions would want to go. So I say all that to say this. Just on the principle of the point spread, it's not even thinking about who I think is going to win, who I think is better. 7 points is too much for as much as the 49ers have been struggling this past couple of weeks. It's just too much. So I'm taking the Lions regardless. I kind of feel like the 49ers will still win. Last week I told you I didn't trust the Lions that much, and that was against the Bucs. Even with the 49ers not playing quite like I think they could, I still think they're better than the Bucs. So I still think the 49ers will win. But the only bet to make for me is Detroit -7. +7.
You're not going to make a Purdy prop bet?
Okay. I'm going to do it again because I'm stubborn. So I will make a bet again with the 49ers winning and Purdy under 30.5 passing attempts. Assuming that's where it is now, it might be a little bit higher, I think, because I think he threw 38, 39 times last week.
39 times. Oh, yeah.
So,
it's ingrained in my head.
So I haven't looked at this the over-under there, but I'm assuming it'll probably be closer to 31, 32, which makes it even easier for me to go under. So I will combine that with the San Francisco win because last week that was over even odds. And as long as it's over even odds again, I will do it again. Even though I still think that Shanahan might just let him chuck it all around the field. In which case, maybe I'll just pick that, and play Detroit. And then as long as I don't get caught in the middle, well, one of them will win.
If anybody looks closely, especially in the games that they excel in or Purdy excels in, he's similar to latter-day Brady, latter-day Brady in New England offense. As the majority of his throws are in between the hash marks. Everything is in the middle of the field because he doesn't have that gun of an arm. So he's not doing the laser outs now he does go vertical, but even when it's vertical, it's more around the middle of the field. Now, that's why Baltimore packed the middle, and that's why they came away with like 4 interceptions. Because plus they had superior linebacker play. I don't know if Detroit has that personnel, but they do have Aiden Hutchinson on the end that's going to get some pressure as long as you just put him wherever, opposite side of Trent Williams. I think they could get some pressure and maybe keep him off his spot. But that's even more the reason why I think Detroit is going to win. Shanahan gets himself in trouble when he has a quarterback, like I said, a quarterback he has too much confidence in. Same thing that happened when he was the offensive coordinator in Atlanta, 28-3. Was there any reason why they kept on putting the pedal to the metal and having Matt Ryan throw it over the yard? That was the time to use your two-headed running back. And now it seems like it's rearing his ugly head again. Yeah, I know. I then went back and opened some rooms for this one particular guy down in the A-Town, Mr. Fat Ass Beats. But
That's not his name.
Look, he knows it's all love. Love you, brother. Hopefully we get down to this summer.
What was the Falcons' record this year?
Oh, 7-10, like it was last year, or like it was the year before.
Oh, so I gave him a little bit too much credit because I said 8-1.
See, I told you not to give him credit back then. No. See, he got more love to you than your brother-in-law does. But I love your sister. I love her a lot. Shoot, it'll be 25 years next month.
That's sweet.
Listen. Next time he see me, he gonna pulverize me. Shoot, you see my brother-in-law? Man, listen. Do you know he used to be a bodyguard for Outcast back in the day.
Wow.
Yeah. Like it's all funny games, but yeah, when it comes to the nitty-gritty, shoot, that's when I always want to have on my side. But yeah. Shoot.
All right. If he's that big, I'm picking the Falcons over for next year already.
All
right. Mike Steph.
You're not gonna throw that down to.
Mike Steph. It is time to wrap it up.
You're not gonna know what to put in and what to put out. Hidden gem. No, not yet. Not yet. But you got anything left?
No, man. Wrap up.
Oh, you waiting on me?
I'm waiting on you.
Oh, okay. Okay, I know. And little man's like, see this mic? I keep on talking. Yeah, that brings us to the end of another edition of Hidden Gems Football. It's been a long, long day. I've made so much things more difficult for TheMoJoKing in post-production. But that's what friends are for. That's what friends are for. The editing and the cutouts. Why is Mike Steph talking forevermore? All right. Yeah, but no, all honesty, this has been a great edition. We're getting down to pretty much the last couple episodes. I think next week we'll have a Super Bowl primer, part 1, and Super Bowl prediction show, part 2, in the next 2 weeks, but we're getting down to the end, so I get a little misty-eyed, like I said before. And check out the return of Hidden Gems Golf by TheMoJoKing this week. There's a new episode of Hidden Gems Golf, I believe episode 72, if I do say so myself, or episode 73, but I know it's in the 70s. 73. See, listen, I was just going after him because he didn't even know on his recording. Oh, is it 73 or is it 72? But yeah, check out another edition of Hidden Gems Golf on all streaming platforms wherever podcasts are available. And normally I don't plug myself, but guess what? This week was a doozy. Check out the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph podcast on the YouTube channel of Mike Steph and on all streaming platforms wherever podcasts are available. Where I give my recap of the preview we just gave. Now, I gave a recap of last week's games. I'll go a week behind, and this goes a week forward. With all that being said, I'm going to say hi to Max. And I'm going to say, as long as I know nobody said hi to Stitch, but that's all right because, it's some real messed up stuff. I don't understand. But with all that being said, Hidden Gems Football has been a part of the Bye. Bye.
Oh, bye.
Bye.
Anything to say?
This is a 19 media group presentation.
There it is.
There we go. Where's the paper?
Let's see Stitch do that.
Look, I got one better.
This is a 19 media group presentation.
All right, I think I know where we're going, and I don't want to go there. So show's over. Kadarius Toney, right? If he comes back this week, and I'm wrong about my prediction, and he comes back this week, he will be scoring the game-winning touchdown. He will either do that if they make it to the Super Bowl and he plays in the Super Bowl. I'm guaranteeing it. Put it down now. Last final touchdown with 10 seconds left is going to be Kadarius Toney because that's the way scripts are written. You making the editor harder.
Yeah, I know. I'm so sorry. See, this is what happens when I really don't do my trusty ass notes because I get to riff way more than I normally do. But we only got 2 more episodes left, so I gotta get my stuff off. I've been good all season. I've been making it nice and tidy for you. You know, you've been able to do the draw 1, 2, 3. Guess what? You give me something to riff off of. Last week was Stitch. No comparison. Let's get that out the way. No comparison. Stitch, you know, look, I love you, but you just, you know, full of foam. It's an actually human being. You know? You got that one ear up, like, look, I'm tired of you. All right. Let's get all my silliness out. You want to say hi? Huh? To the audience.
Oh yeah, recording.
Huh?
Can I say a quick hi?
Yes, you could duck down, Avatar. No, let me stop.
Hey.
You call me Avatar? That's rude.
That is the perfect ending.